invocation at this time. You have someone here to lead the invocation? I guess it'll be me. Father in heaven, we thank you this evening for this chance to gather together here and consider matters of our city. We pray that you would give us wisdom and that you would bless our city through these cold winter months. Be with us throughout this evening. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Looks like we have 6 present. Alderman Mathis is not present. Commendations, proclamations, award, and special presentations. We have 2 proclamations for honorary aldermen who have not arrived yet, so I'll just hold those. Hopefully they'll arrive in a moment. Comments from citizens. Do we have any comments from citizens to sign up? All right, there it is. So I wasn't the last one. Sorry, we'll get this microphone down. Reports from the aldermen. We'll start over here with Mr. Byrd.
Thank you. It was good to see all of the businesses that participated in the holiday window displays around the square. My family really enjoyed walking through the square and being able to look at those. At the TAEDC meeting, we got some updates on possible business growth in Tullahoma. The Coffee County Industrial Board has finished clearing more acreage in the joint industrial park between Tullahoma and Manchester, but it will be several years before that can be fully developed. The Arts Council and South Jackson Performing Arts Center has asked me to share about Steel Magnolias, the play coming up. It will be 2 weekends. That will be January 31st, February 1st and 2nd, then February 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's going to be a great show from everything I've heard. And I'd also like to thank the police and fire departments, the EMS, and Public Works for helping out during all of the snow this past weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. It's good to see everyone. I hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's. I attended last week the mayor's quarterly planning meeting at D.W. Wilson, and it was very informative. It's always a great meeting. And I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that you can tune into that via LightTube to catch that if you miss it. It's always a lot of way to keep your pulse, a good way to keep the pulse of our community. So I invite you all to do that.
Thank you. Alderman McGee.
I don't have anything to report.
Alderman Mathis.
No report, sir. Thank you.
Alderman Glick.
I just want to wish everybody a great new year. It's getting started on our first meeting of the year. And I had some good news to report to everybody to start out with. A couple of years ago, I brought forward at this meeting about the cell phone tower. The cell phone coverage was so bad in town, and found a phone number for everybody to call, and I broadcasted it here and kind of started an effort to get them to build a new tower. So Verizon listened to us. They investigated and found out we were needing a new tower, so they have built one now. It has recently passed all its clearances, and it's supposed to go online within the next 2 weeks.
Where's that located at?
The tower that they built is off Lamont Lane on, it's over around Turkey Creek area is where Lamont is. So it's supposed to go online in 2 weeks. Definitely for the people on the west side of town.
I was about
over
to say,
there.
as a person that lives about a mile from there, I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, so it is, you'll definitely get better coverage, but what they tell us is that it will help everybody in town because it will take pressure off the other tower.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that
That's
on
been
the east side of
needed for a
town,
long time.
I get some help out of there too, but definitely for the west side and hopefully everywhere else, but you should see improvement soon.
Thank you, Mr. Glick. Alderman Thoma.
Thank you. I had an opportunity to attend a educational course seminar with Alan Potter. That's my reason for not attending the last board meeting. Apparently, my position requires me to have some kind of continuing education, so it was a 8 to 4 program. I learned something, and I understand there's a lot of lingo that I certainly didn't understand until that meeting was involved. And apparently, our system, from the various things that were discussed, are either involved or have completed, which that impressed me. The other thing, and I'm going to apologize to the extent that I failed to keep the scout troop number, Girl Scout troop that furnished the candy for us. Nice little jars, really appreciated that. I did attend my first 911 board meeting. The only thing of interest there was that they hired a permanent director, and that was Sam Harper. If you do not know Sam, I grew up with Sam. A very qualified person, and he was voted in unanimous. According to the paper, I think you read, they bought a new management system. I wasn't involved in that, but apparently they're ironing out issues and have found some things that they did not anticipate. So that's my report.
Thank you. So the mayor's report's also short. Happy New Year to everyone, and again, thanks to everyone who helped handle the snow the last few days, and I think that was about as good a snow event as you could have. It happened over the weekend and got up Monday morning and the roads were clear, so that was nice. The only other item I have to add is the TADC meeting Tuesday morning. Mr. Steve May, who's a member of that board, has been for several years, has been an outstanding member of that board, has been a great benefit to us, and explained to us about branding and the sort of things that he's got a strong background in. Well, he's resigned from the board because he's moving to Alabama, and he's got a business concern there that they're standing up. So we appreciate Steve's service and good luck to him. And that serves as notices now that we do have a board opening on the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Board. If anybody's interested in that, you can submit a citizen participation form at City Hall, and we'll be looking to fill that seat in the coming month or so. With that, Mr. Quick.
Great, thank you. I want to echo what has already been mentioned up here a few times. I was able to come in Friday and spend some time with Public Works, watching what they do, and it was incredible to see the commitment that these gentlemen have. We were able to have all the roads salted and cleared, monitor that throughout the event starting Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, and we were able to complete our garbage route, our regular Friday garbage route. Almost over 3/4 of that was completed. And if you see somebody from Public Works, all of our guys and ladies do a great job, but if you see some of our Public Works people, just tell them thank you for what they've done. We had some men that pulled 17-hour shifts in order to make sure that things were taken care of. Plus, we had some machinery that went down. One of our salters went down. We had a clutch that went out, but we were still able to maintain the coverage that we needed. And, you know, I know our last event about this time last year created some concerns. Didn't hear any concerns this year, just heard nothing but compliments. So really great job by Butch Taylor, Eric Pierce, John West, and all of those at Public Works. One last thing on the from a Public Works perspective, the work at Northern Boulevard continues. They have gone through, they've done what's called pressure testing, where they will take a large truck, go through, see if there's any soft spots in what they've put down so far. They feel comfortable with that. They're about ready to put an additional layer on there, and that is going, that's going to, start moving forward again. We had a lot of, obviously, rain and some weather issues that have created concerns, but in talking with Butch, we're going to be up and going on that again really quick, and hope to have it finished in the next few weeks. Toy drive. The fire department had their annual toy drive. They were able to serve 153 families and 374 children. And, not only does the fire department do this every year, but our city and its residents do an excellent job of supporting this organization and what they're able to do for children. And just, again, want to say great things, and I appreciate Chief Pearson and what all he's done to to go out and continue to have the drive, but also our citizens responding the way they did was really good. We have an interim police chief right now, Jason Kennedy, who many of you know is now serving as our interim police chief as Chase Sons is away in D.C. As soon as he got there, he drove up, he was met with about 8 inches of snow, and so they've been having to go schedule around that in order for him to be part of that training. That is going well, and I get pictures or comments from him every day, and he makes sure to want to say to the city, thank you for allowing him to take part of this FBI training academy. It's going to be something that's going to help him, but also give him tools and experiences that he can relate to his people as well. Also, I want to say a big shout out to our training sergeant, Brooke Arthur. This week we started the Field Training Officer School this week, which is from the UT Law Enforcement Innovation Center. We're hosting that. We have 20 officers from Memphis to Knoxville, 13 agencies that are represented. So just want to say thank you to Brooke for getting all that put together. One of the great things about being a host is you get free spots, so that saves us money from that standpoint. But also we're able to put that training room that was designed in the police department to extremely good use, and I see us continuing to host a lot of trainings over the next few years. Regarding the upcoming meeting that Alderman Thomas spoke about, we will definitely have our police department officials, fire department officials. It's on February 4th, I believe, at 9 a.m. I'm going to be out of town, but we're definitely going to be there with questions and trying to make sure we understand what it's going to take for us to be a part of this communications package that they're rolling out. Last board meeting, we were selected, or I'm sorry, you approved a grant for the Tennessee Whiskey Country Mural Project. We have been selected as a site for one of those murals. Lyle Russell and I met with Ryan French and Scott Van Velser not long ago to start looking at site selection. We're down to 2 different buildings. One's more preferable. We've got to make sure that the building owner is going to be able to accommodate that mural and some of the things that would go along with that, but that is definitely moving forward. HR, we met, Lori and I met with the MTAS consultant, Betsy Cunningham, and had a great 2-hour meeting looking at our personnel policy. We are very, very close to being able to present that to you in the next couple of board meetings, hopefully February, latest March. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure, and we've asked our consultant to make sure that instead of us doing a red line to show you what we've changed, but we're going to have a sheet or 2 listing here are the changes, the significant changes that were made, so you don't have to go through and try to dig, and that will help you see what we're looking at changing, and then also help you to allow you to answer or ask any questions. I'm sorry. 2 more things. One, we had some animal rescues in the last 30 days. On December 18th, we had Patrolman Tyler Jones and Corporal Derek Bowles rescue a cat from a storm drainage. They had to remove the drain gate and were able to go down and save that kitten, which, you know, may not sound like a big thing, but it's a really big thing. They saved a life, and they were able to take that kitten and be able to get it over to, I think, Animal Rescue, and they were able to do some things with it. And then just recently, we had Engineer Joseph Hale with the fire department. We received a call, or I received a frantic call that we had a duck that had frozen in the pond over on Kings Ridge and needed rescuing. And so they called Lyle, because obviously Lyle has a affinity and a expertise with birds. So they were able to go out. Engineer Hale walked out, got the bird, was able to bring it back. Lyle was able to nurse it to health, and if you haven't seen the video on Facebook, he released it to the wild. His duck buddies were sitting there waiting on him. We had a citizen who named him Douglas the Duck, and so it was just a great thing. But I think what it goes to show you is that our fire department and police department are called on to do things outside of what you would normally think, but they're just as important to people and obviously to these 2 animals. And just want to say thank you for them seeing the importance and the value that those kind of actions would take. Lastly, I'm going to be traveling tomorrow and Wednesday. I am finishing the CPM, the Certified Public Manager class that you allowed me to go to this time last year. And so I'm looking forward to giving a presentation on one of those days, and that will be the last task that's related to graduation. So looking forward to doing that over the course of the next couple of days. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Could you give us an update? A couple of months ago, we voted on hiring an engineering firm to design pickleball courts over across from the community center. D.W. Wilson, do you have an update on that?
I'm going to let JP, if you'll come and provide that. I know I have an email that I have read, but I'd rather you provide the detail, if you will.
So yes, the preliminary design is finished, and we are working on applying for the local Parks and Recreation Fund grant. You should see something at the next board meeting for the notice to, or the intent to apply.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over it again. Approval of the agenda. So I guess we better do that. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. If there's no discussion there, let's vote. That passed 7-0. And now we'll move on to the consent agenda. The motion to approve. Motion from Alderman Byrd, second from Alderman Wilson. Let's vote on the consent agenda. That passes 7-0. Unfinished business, we don't have any unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Resolution number 2016, a resolution by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, to authorize a grant application to the Tennessee Housing Development Agency for home grant funds for THDA homes grant applications. Who can tell us about that a little bit?
Okay. So we just, as it shows here, we just closed that out in December. And what we're looking to do is reapply and do the same thing. It really comes at no cost to us. It's basically city staff time. Myself, Sue, working with a couple of people with South Central. This is an incredible opportunity for the city to be involved in helping some of the lower income families or those that have concerns on housing, that we are able to basically sign off and help manage those funds as they go to improve housing. I will say I sat down with one of the recipients of this money last week, and the gratitude that he had in his heart for us being able to help him secure funding, get the necessary renovations and whatnot done so he could stay in his lifelong house was incredible. And so basically what this is, this just allows us to open up another round of funding, if you will, through South Central. The money comes from the state. South Central manages it for the most part. A lot of what we do on our end is just review and approval when they submit invoices or information to us.
Yeah. Any questions or comments on that one?
I have a question on that. I looked at that, and there were 6 houses approved. I'm not sure who decides that. And it equated to $120,000 per home. Is there any monitoring of that in the future? Because realistically, if you, I mean, all of us are subject to it, you constantly having to make repairs and stuff to your home. Is there, if they can't afford to keep them up now, what do we do to help and make sure that they're able to keep them up in the future?
Great question. I'm going to let Sue, she's the one that administers the program, let her answer.
This doesn't involve like an ongoing series of repairs, but what they will do is they will rank the properties based on code issues in severity, and they won't start anything that they can't finish and bring up to code. So you're talking capital repairs, which hopefully will have a good lifespan. Maybe, 10-year, whatever, like roofs and structural and HVAC, that kind of repairs. So hopefully there will be some longevity involved with this kind of investment.
Yeah.
But no, there isn't any, but there is not a second round of ongoing assistance if the people have problems in the future.
And I think
Is a
that's,
resident required to stay in the home a certain amount of time?
Yes, 5 years to totally abate the program. it winds up with the city of Tullahoma 5-year lien, which is abated 20% per year, so that you don't have someone just flipping.
Yeah, flipping it,
Yeah.
moving to Florida, so.
It just seems like an awful lot of money in the consideration is there, of course, that's what this grant is for, it's specific for that. But you'd also think that it might be a situation where that money could be utilized to help them get into a facility like apartments or something on that line. But it just seemed like an awful lot of money, in my opinion. But, you know.
It used to be a $40,000 cap, and then they took it off, I think, because with inflation, $40,000 wasn't enough to bring the houses into code.
Believe me, I understand.
Any other questions or comments? If not, let's vote. Passes 7-0. Item number 25-05, a request from the city administrator to confirm the appointment of Nick Kimbrough as Director of Safety and Codes Compliance. Mr. Quick?
Y'all need to second that before I do it, or am I good?
Oh, did somebody, oh yeah, did we get a motion and second there? For discussion. Okay, yeah, we got a motion second. Go ahead, Mr. Quick.
Right. So one of the challenges that we have looked at, but we know it's going to become an even greater challenge, is having both planning and codes under one person. Stretching Charles Rush, who was our planning director, very thin. It also put him in some precarious situations, perhaps, where he's the one that is the approver of plans, but then he's the one that comes in and does some, maybe a code violation or code restriction, whatnot, has to enforce codes. But the biggest issue that we've had is just the volume of work. And I know I've spoken with several of you individually talking about what that volume of work looks like now, but also what we see coming forward. In order for us to be able to address the desire for quality strategic growth, we wanted our focus to solely for Charles and planning and development to look at the big picture, making sure that all the pieces fit, make sure that it works with our plans and whatnot. But then when it came to the daily transactional of code enforcement, safety, compliance, things of that nature, it was something that we felt would be better under another person. Now, Nick Kimbrough has been serving in that role for probably 6 or 7 months, and it's something that we feel like is going to be better if we could divide those two. One of the things that I've also done in this package is I've given you a top level or higher level organizational chart. One of the things I'm looking to do in the next board meeting is to provide you an overall organizational chart. Try to put it all on one page, but then also break it down by department so you can have a better vision of what that total organizational chart looks like. I believe this is something that we need to do. It was very important for me to make sure that we weren't overstretching, but also I don't want to make sure that we have too much opportunity for free time, not someone not being busy. One of the things I do is part of the TCMA is I'm able to establish connections with various people that are serving as city administrators or town managers, and just want to get a feel for how they're doing, how they're managing their growth. And several of them are starting to look at doing the same thing we're looking at doing, which is make sure those two are separate. That way they don't have any conflict with one another, and to make sure that they're able to meet the needs, not only of those people wanting to come in, but those that are already here.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments. I think that you mentioned that you were doing a study of the personnel policies and redoing all that, and also that you are finally bringing the organizational chart up to date for the board to vote on, which is a good thing. Over the years, as things change, and we've modified the organization to meet the changing times, I think that we've gone along and created jobs and moved people around, and I think as part of doing the personnel policy survey and updating the organizational chart, we also need to look at our salaries to make sure, after all these people have been moved around and taken on more people under them maybe, or some of them may have lost people under them, or had a lot more things assigned to them to do. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't slip through the crack that everybody's being paid what they should be paying commensurate with what they do and what their position is within the city.
So just so happens that is something that Lori, Ashley, and I have been looking at and started looking at it last week and have had several conversations. In fact, I have asked her to do some more salary research studies. She has availability and resources for the state of Tennessee. So we're going to be looking at regionally how we're doing, but then also look at it cities compared to our size, population, and projected growth. So we're definitely doing that right now.
I know at one time when I worked for the city, there was somebody came in, a private organization came in. I know it costs the city more money, but they came in and actually sat down with people and got their job description, talked to them, what do they actually do day to day, looked at their requirement, the requirements for them to have the job, what certifications they'd have to have, and then they put all that in a formula to figure out, how the salary should rank out. And I think that's one thing for a happy staff and a happy workforce is to know that they are being compensated fairly and that everybody else is too.
I'm with you 100%. I cannot think of the gentleman, but Sue and I spoke about that. We have the opportunity and the ability to reach out to him, not only for an overall survey study, but if we have specific questions, so we'll be addressing that with him as well. I cannot tell you, this was before my time, I cannot tell you the date of the survey study, but that's something that we'll need to look at, and if we're needing another study done, we will definitely do it. If not, we can just kind of do piecemeal, if you will, one at a time or as they come up. But I echo exactly what you say. We have some of the most outstanding employees anybody's going to find, and I wish we could pay them what they're worth. But we all wish we were paid what we're worth. But it's definitely something I want to look at, especially when you look at how hard we have so many of our people working, and we just want to make sure we're doing right by them. So I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you saying that, Alderman Glick, and we'll look forward to continuing looking at salaries and bringing those to you.
Yeah, because one part of it, I think, is the actual survey where you see what other people are paying for like positions in the area. But I think at some point you need to establish to make sure that those positions are the same, because you know how things evolve and change, and people get responsibilities and other people lose them, so our person A might not be the same as person A in another city. So I think that's the valuable part of the person coming in, a third party, and actually evaluating and making sure that everything's fair. And I think that feeling of somebody else looking at it gives people a level of comfort.
It does. Takes any concerns of bias or whatnot out of that.
Right.
I
Does
agree.
any other alderman have a comment or question?
I did on that note, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Alderman Glick. I think that it was about maybe a year and a half ago, we paid for a study now it may be outdated now because we've done a lot of reorganization, but it might be kind of a starting point.
I fully agree. Last thing I want to say is I want to say thank you to Charles for all that he has done in basically juggling a lot of plates and a lot of balls at the same time. As far as somebody coming in to oversee the city's safety and compliance with codes, there's not anyone more qualified in this city than Nick Kimbrough. He has served faithfully as a fireman and through the ranks up through fire marshal, and I think this is something that's going to really produce a lot of great value for our contractors and others that may be needing some help with codes compliance. And one of the things that I really appreciate is something that Charles and I have been working on is our job in code enforcement is not to be not to come across as the enforcer, but more importantly, we're there to support them to make sure they are making the right decisions on what needs to be done, making sure that it meets with codes, but do it with a soft hand as opposed to coming in as an authoritarian figure. And I know in dealing with Nick over the years and watching him, he has that kind of relationship, and that's how he approaches people. And I think that's really going to help our areas of planning and codes compliance. Also, I just want to say Nick's family's here. And so if you're wondering who they are in the back, that is Nick's family that I know he's so very proud of.
So I'll just add one comment to all of that, is that since I've taken position of mayor, I have gotten more phone calls and had more one-on-one sit-down face-to-face meetings over codes and planning issues than probably everything else combined. And I think that this is a step in the right direction to help spread the responsibility out and give us more flexibility to try to help them deal with some of the issues that we're seeing. And I think it's only going to get better, I hope, from here. So,
Fully agree.
any other comments or questions? If not, let's vote. Seven zero. Congratulations, Mr. Kimbrough. We're sitting behind me. I can't see him over there, so. All right, item number 25-06, a request from the police department to approve the surplus and disposal of vehicles 351 and 392. Any comment to make here other than, I assume these are worn-out vehicles?
I do want to commend Deputy Chief Kennedy and his staff for what they're looking at with being good stewards with our resources, and that includes if we have some that the repairs more than what the cost of the vehicle is, for them to do that. So they've done an outstanding job of that over the course of the last 6 to 9 months, and just want to say thank you.
Thanks. Any comments or questions there? If not, let's vote. That carries 7-0. Item 25-07, a request from the police department to approve the surplus of one Wyndham weaponry rifle and trade for in-store credit with Rusty Oak Armory in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So I assume this is the same thing, the surplus of some old equipment.
Just like, in fact, we had one similar to this on the last agenda.
Yeah. Any comments at all?
I have a question. What is it?
It is a Wyndham weaponry rifle, model 15. That's about all I can tell you.
I'm just curious.
It's an
A
AR
sniper rifle or an
15.
assault rifle, or you don't have to go into a lot of detail, but I'm curious.
It's they call it an SBR. It's a short-barreled rifle. It was purchased prior to Chief Sun's appointment by the old administration. The rifles we have now are pushing close to 20 years old, and some of them are being replaced. So this is a new rifle, but we've had our firearm instructors shoot multiple weapons. We found a weapon that's going to be feasible for our department and cost effective. So we're going to use this as a trade-in for in-store credit because it is a new rifle.
Gotcha. I just like to familiar with that weapon.
It's an AR-15, isn't it?
Is that equipment?
Basically, sounds like it. All right, if there's still other discussion, let's vote on that.
It's not Chase's favorite gun you're trying to get rid of before he gets back.
I think somebody's looking for a new duck hunting
He's
gun.
in FBI school.
All right, that passes 7-0. He'll come back with a new favorite after that training. Item number 25-08, a request from the city administrator to review and provide edits to the draft policy for a Tullahoma public property and asset honorary naming policy. Explain to me why that doesn't sound like a bunch of paperwork.
No, it really does. So this came from Alderman Glick, who was, when we had recently named something after Joe Moon. As far as what's the process, what's the procedure in order for us to name a street? So I gave Lyle Russell a research project because we wanted to see if there was anything in our ordinances, anything that we've ever done before. We conducted one search, and then we found out that there may be a possibility in 2015. We looked, we couldn't find it. Then we conducted a second search that it just came to me at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It's from 1996. So I have placed that separate sheet with you that will go along with what we have put together here for you. I asked Lyle to do some research again and see how others are handling naming policies and procedures, other cities and entities. This is what we've come back with, and I think based on that, we're looking for you to give us advice, and I think the two things we're looking at is, would you prefer this to be a committee, which we've put in this policy, a citywide committee that would meet whenever it needed to, which, you know, quite honestly, maybe once a year, or would you prefer that information be sent to me, such as a request for a naming, for me to have documentation which will be covered similar to what we have here? We have an application that we've created. Send that to me, let me do all the research, and then present it to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for you to think about and make a decision on.
So there's not really a need to vote on this item, is there? You're
No,
making
sir.
a request to us to go review it and give you some feedback.
This is just for y'all to give us feedback on which direction you want us to go. Our goal is to have a policy and procedure in place soon, but we want you to give us feedback on how you want that to look, so then we can enact it.
Okay. Does anyone have any immediate comments?
Yeah, I did. I thought we were going to be discussing it tonight, so I already reviewed it. So let me just give you a couple of thoughts. So when you're thinking about it, maybe at home, maybe you can kind of consider those. I don't think the committee approach, in my opinion, is right for us. I was thinking as my time, since I've been alderman almost 2.5 years, there's only been 2 things that we've named. So it's not like the workload or the request are something I think worthy of having a committee stand in or whatever to do. I think that we could see those. That's what the people of Tullahoma voted for us to decide things like that. And if it'd be one thing if there was 6 of them every meeting we came to, and every meeting was involved with trying to do this, that's when you'd have a committee, and maybe we'd grow into that someday. But I don't think we're there yet. I think if the application or the criteria were set up that said, you know, what would be worthy of being named, or what things are, and there was some of that in here. If all that was set up correctly, I think staff could cull out some before it even came to us, and the ones that were worthy, I think they would probably get a positive vote from the board.
So too. Let me just make a comment here at this point that one of the things Mr. Quick and I have been discussing is we need, for several reasons, to probably have some study sessions in the near future. This would be a great item to put on a study session, just chat amongst ourselves about how we want to handle any particular details or any issues we have with it. So that'd be my recommendation. We'd look forward to doing that in the next
I'm
month or
totally
so.
in agreement. Another board, another committee is just adding more stuff on. And in my opinion, if you can get the proper application and proper research, that this board should be able and capable of handling.
I think so.
That
Right,
decision.
and so again, in looking at this, basically, we would take what we have here, and wherever it said committee, it would be the city administrator, who would then gather all that information using the application that we have here, and then presenting that to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. So you're basically just saying one person versus a committee doing that. So whatever y'all want us to do, we're more than glad to do it.
Thank you. If there's nothing else on that item, that concludes our business. We'll stand adjourned.